All right, let's get going, guys. Welcome to day 4. Wow, already. So today is day 4 of our training. Let's get going. I think there's still a couple of people missing. I was just, giving it about a minute or two, but it looks like, yeah, this is all there is. So let's get going, right? We're not going to wait. All right, it's already 7 minutes past 7 here. So let's get going. So yesterday we got up to let's see if I can get to that point, and then we keep rolling. We're gonna roll from there. Yesterday, okay, all right. Looks like all right. So yesterday we got up to this point. We right. Yes. Let me see a yes, yes. If this is true, this is where we got up to. Let me see a yes in the chat box. Let me know you're with me. Let me know we're doing this together. Let's see a yes, yes. Okay, surveys and questionnaire. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Good. You guys are paying attention. All right, let's go. So let's talk about stakeholders, right? So yesterday we talked about surveys and questionnaire and how we'll be able to elicit somebody in the waiting room. Let me get him quick. Let me grab him quick. Then we can. All right. So yesterday we got up to this point, surveys, questionnaires, another method for elicitation of requirement from our stakeholders. It's great, that we want to hear from our customers. We want to be able to hear from them what they think about some of the product features that we're putting out there. And as I've always mentioned, and I will, rehash on the same point again, that when we build solution, we are not building it for ourselves, right? We're building it for some end users. So it's very important that we conduct surveys, use other techniques and methods, and so we can hear from the end users, right? Hopefully, they will say everything is looking good. Hopefully, they will not, bash us, right? So yesterday we got up to this point. Today, we're going to start with stakeholders, right? Stakeholders. Now, every project, you're going to work with stakeholders, right? There are stakeholders who are internal stakeholders, and then we have external stakeholders. Keep in mind, this is something that is also fundamental, very core. Stakeholders. You will engage with stakeholders, you'll be having meetings. So stakeholders engagement is very critical, very important. You'll be doing this often, frequently, almost like every day type of thing, right? Somebody might ping you on Slack, or somebody might ping you on Microsoft Teams, or whatever the application that you guys are using for communication within the organization. Somebody's going to ping you and you have to respond. So yeah, stakeholders are critical. You got to know them, right? So stakeholders are those with any interest in your project, right? Outcome. They are typically the members of the project team, project managers, executives, project sponsors, customers, and users, right? So this is like the ecosystem of stakeholders. But we're going to take a deep dive and then maybe break it stakeholders into two. We have internal stakeholders, and then we have external stakeholders, right? This is like, the big picture, the big view. But let's, narrow down our focus, and then let's, talk about internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Who are these guys, and what do they want, and what do we also have to do to please them, right? So internal stakeholders, right? Top management. Within the organization, there's a huge expectation, right? There is a huge expectation. CEOs, COO, that is Chief Operating Officers, CFOs, Chief Financial Officers, these are the big guys typically in any kind of organization that you take, right? So you take every organization, the top management, you see the CEO of the organization, the Chief Executive Officer, and then you look at the other top management members as well, like COO, the Chief Operating Officer. You might see the CFO, the guy who signs off on all the checks, right? The Chief Financial Officer, right? He or she, has a big tax of, letting us know whether we're going negative or we're staying positive, right? Hopefully we have some money, we have some coins to pay everybody. So the CFO, that's the Chief Financial Officer, right? And then we have CTO, you know, Chief Technology Officer. One day, some of you, will get to that point where you command, you're sort of the command center for all technology, right? All technological needs of the organization, both internal and external. So that's a CTO. That's a big guy when it comes to technology. He's a guy to go to, right? CTO, and then we have Chief Information Officer, CIO, right? All these guys, they are very critical, they're very important guys. Sometimes you might not have all these roles or all these hats within an organization, but keep in mind, you might, hear from some of these roles, some of these team members, and you guys will, kind of, you guys might run into them, in an email distro. The CTO might ping you sometimes, how is it going? But just, keep in mind, there are top management people, right? Big guys. And then we have the project team members. So the project team members, now we're beginning to narrow down our focus and say, okay, now that we've done away with, the top management, let's look at the project team members, right? Project team members. So within your department, within the unit that you work, the development team, you guys are responsible for all the big, solutions and all the architectural, infrastructure needs. You guys are responsible for that. So we have project team members. So you have another ecosystem where you get to see some of the team members that I think day one or day two, we kind of talk about some of these members. I think on day one or maybe day two. Yeah. So that is your typical project team members, right? And then of course, we're going to have somebody who's going to be your direct report, right? Your direct report, that's your manager. So your manager is going to be your direct report, somebody we report to, somebody who has a responsibility, to ensure that, your personal well-being is taken care of when it comes to the organization, your role. This person is like, like the person that you report to. So he or she takes care of everything that concerns you, right? Your assignment, your tags, what you're doing, it's like, 360, right? So from your HR stuff, to personal stuff, to your work, your tax, your assignment, projects you're working on. So this guy will have a huge responsibility about you, on you, and what you do and how things go, right? So you got to know your direct report, and you know him. Typically for a product owner, you might be reporting to somebody with the title or the role or the hat, who'll be wearing the hat of maybe a product manager, right? Sometimes you might get to have a global product manager. I think one of my guys who started on Monday, Eben started on Monday, he's reporting to, his direct report is the global product manager. Yeah. Right. So he report to Aaron, and Aaron is his, direct report, or his manager, right? So yeah, you got to know your manager. You got to know who you report to, and then you got to know your peers. There's going to be other colleagues that you work with, right? They can range from product owners, just like yourself, or business analyst just like yourself, system analyst just like yourself. Whatever role or whatever hat that you're wearing, you're going to find yourself with peers, colleagues, people that essentially you're going to work with, right? And then we have resource managers, right? Usually we talk about IT, so, or help desk, right? Or technical support team. So usually people that usually take care of your access needs and computers, hardwares, equipment, and that type of thing. So resource managers, and not just the technology and hardware, but people when you need something, people that you guys can get to, and hopefully they will be able to answer whatever queries that you guys might have. So yes, resource managers. And then lastly, on the internal stakeholders bit, we have the internal customers, right? Again, when we build solutions, we don't build it for ourselves. We are not building it in isolation. So when we build it, we have internal and client users, right? Operations team, typically, right? Operations team. So they are our customers. And sometimes when we build solutions, they usually test it first. So we have something we call, we'll be getting into it, maybe later on in the future, we'll be talking about UAT. UAT is what we call user acceptance testing. User acceptance testing. We have two types of UAT. We have the alpha and we have the beta, right? You guys might have seen some software or application or somewhere that you see BETA, the beta, the beta version, right? So we have two types of UAT. So, before they will release the final version, usually they will have the beta out, and then, external clients will begin to use it. If, some of them will report some crash, there's going to be some crashes here and there as people are using it, and they will be reporting these issues to them, and then they're going to be fixing it. So we have two types of UAT, right? We have the alpha and then we have the beta. And the beta is typically what we customers or external customers or people at home, that is what we see. So, I know you guys have seen some of these, beta versions and some of the applications that you've used. And then the alpha testing is done internally, right? So just the internal team trying to test their hands on, trying to make sure that everything works out good. And then, the beta is where we deploy out that version out so that external, customers can also use it. And then hopefully we can begin to gather some logs and some crash logs, other things like that, so that, we can, make things better, right? So that, we can make things better. Somebody's logging in with the name Mary. I don't know. There's okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, what was I? All right, internal customers, right? All right. So we have the operations team. Typically, that's good operations team. So they, get to try their hands on. We will create some test account for them, right? We'll prepare what we call the staging or UAT environment, and then that's going to be the environment where the testing is going to happen. So when they test it, then they'll okay us and say, yes, now we can go live. And then when customers also use it for a period of time, now they will okay, and they will sign off on it and say, now we're ready to go live, right? We're ready to launch. Now customers can use it, right? So that is how typically it goes. And so this is the internal stakeholders. There could be some more, but there's a handful of them. You guys have, this is good enough, right? So let's look at the external stakeholders. External stakeholders. So who are these guys, right? So we have external customers. So starting off from where I ended with the internal stakeholders. So external customers, people that, they got to try their hands on the beta versions of the platform. Hopefully, as they begin to, use it and they begin to, have issues, we'll be analyzing these issues. We'll be analyzing the logs, and it will be, fixing the bugs and defects that, will be coming up. So external customers, and of course, they are critical. Like we always say that customers is like what the bloodline to like every business, right? We got to take care of them. And then we have government. So the government is another external stakeholder that, we got to keep in mind. Yesterday, was it yesterday or maybe the day before yesterday, I talk about compliance stuff. So Uncle Sam is always going to be watching our back. And so it is very important. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think I talked about maybe the day before yesterday. Talk about compliance. Uncle Sam, is always, going to be looking over our shoulders. He's our big brother, right? And then try to make sure that we do the right thing. So we got to be compliant. We got to be in compliance. So government, external stakeholder, we got to work with. We got to have that friendly. You cannot hate them, right? they are the type of people that whether you hate them or not, they come in for their check, they come in for their taxes, they come in for their money. You got to be compliant with whatever you're doing. So we got to know them as well. Contractors, right? Contractors. So you guys might be working with third-party contractors or different organizations. Essentially, they work for you guys as well. You guys don't know it well, right? So whatever that you guys are maybe a little bit ineptitude when it comes to skill set of your resources and whatnot, you guys will be working with external contractors. So keep in mind, external stakeholders, contractors are a critical piece as well. And then subcontractors. So we have contractors and we have what? Subcontractors. So when it comes to contractors, right, they also sometimes sublet some of these jobs to other organizations. And these other organizations are what we call subcontractors, right? So they will take the big project, huge one, and they will need more people, more hands, right, to help them to execute. And they cannot do it all. And so what do? They will also, find a little company, some mom and pop type of companies, and then they will help them out, in execution of their contract, right? Hopefully, when we take a look at, the contract obligations, they will all do a good job. We have suppliers. Suppliers are also very critical as well. Um, Suppliers are very, very important. You're going to work with, different suppliers. They'll be supplying you guys with hardware, technology, a whole lot of things, right? So you guys have to keep that in mind. And let me even, re-echo on the contractors and subcontractors, right? So even on resources, so I've been in a position where, I work with offshore team. I've had teams in some places in India, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, other places in India. I have managed teams over there. So you may have contractors and other, offshore. I don't want to talk about offshore right now because maybe other sessions I'll talk about offshore, managing offshore teams and other things like that. But yeah, so they all fall into the same, categories. I just want to point it out so you guys can keep in mind, right? So they all fall under contractors and subcontractors and whatnot when it comes to resources, right? Team members. So third-party vendors, right? Let's keep going. Third-party vendors. So you're going to be working with third-party vendors. And for third-party vendors, yes, there are organizations that you guys will be sort of depend on them, on the technology to be able to work. They have some type of maybe innovative technology that you guys want to be able to have it on your back end, serve as a backbone for something that you guys are wanting to do. So you got to know third-party vendors. And then we have third-party marketing affiliates. So just as you guys are depending on third-party vendors and their technology and other things, you guys, some other folks might also be depending on you guys. Maybe the product that you guys are selling, they will also grab or consume your APIs, and then they will sell your product to external customers, and hopefully they can get some commissions out of it, right? They can get some little bit of money here and there. A typical example of some of this stuff is like a SaaS-based, software as a service-based platforms. And then if you are narrowing that down to like a flight booking platform, very common. When you take a look at the flight booking platforms, this type of B2B, business to business and third-party marketing affiliates, very, very common, very common. Hopefully, when we start our hands-on project, and then when I start giving you guys projects to work, we might have one project or maybe travel and tourism. You guys will begin to build platforms for vacation and travel tickets and other stuff like that. And we might maybe touch on that whenever our time, if our time permits us. So we'll look at third-party marketing affiliates and how we'll tie them in or how we'll rope them into our platform as well. All right, good. All right, let's go ahead. Okay. Oh man, where did I put my phone? Trying to see how many minutes I have because this is a big one. Trying to see. Okay, so let's talk about software development lifecycle. Let me see a yes in the chat box. You guys are with me so far. We've ended stakeholders. Let me see a yes. So I know nobody's sleeping. I know there are a lot of you on the line. It's very late in Ghana. So let me, let's make these sessions interactive, right? And that's the only way I can gauge, I can measure, and okay, all right. So I see yes. So you guys are with me so far. All right, good. All right. So software development lifecycle, guys. We're getting into deeper waters now, right? We're getting into deeper waters. We're getting into our meat and our potatoes, right? We're getting deeper waters. So every platform that you will see, so like Wells Fargo, it's a bank, right? Every platform that you see, EcoBank, there's a great platform as well. Every platform that customers sort of interact with, Google, every platform that you see, behind the successful launch of these platforms is what we call software development lifecycle. Every platform that you see will have to go through multiple iterations, right? Different phases. It's a life cycle. That is what we call it, right? So typically, as you guys can see here on this screen, I have about let me see, 6, right? We can sometimes, compress them into maybe 5 or so, but let's maybe stick with this 6 for this um you know just for this purpose, right? So you can see number 1 is planning, number 2 is analysis, number 3 is design, number 4 implementation, number 5 testing and integration, and then the 6th phase or step is the maintenance phase, right? Guys, I cannot say this enough, right? I cannot repeat this enough. But when you're sleeping and I wake you up, you got to be able to tell me this 6. This is one of the core or fundamental stuff when it comes to platforms, systems, right? This is the pillar. This is the backbone for every platform that you see. Every platform that you see, you know, I'm not if I'm not wrong. I mean, it cannot be a great platform if they have not gone through this life cycle, right? So planning phase, analysis phase, design phase, implementation phase, and then the testing, integration phase, and then the maintenance. So, like I said, Wells Fargo, as great as this is, they all went through this, multiple iterations before they actually got up here. EcoBank, multiple iterations. We want this, we want that, change this, analysis, development, testing, maintenance. What do we change? Something is not working, let's fix it. So it's constantly, this is a life cycle. It's like a loop. It's ongoing, right? It doesn't stop, right? Google, we all love Google. We all get on Google, and hopefully, the predictive analytics and, predictive kind of, that is in the engines that are built in there. When we begin to type, it will begin to show us, whether it's a fuzzy search or what you're typing and whatnot. It's going to filter, it's going to give you some search results. And hopefully you'll get to the search results and you'll find what you're looking for, right? All these features over here, when you look at the top left corner, you see the about. Hopefully when you click on it, it's going to be about us, right? When you see the store, that means you can buy or purchase whatever that they're selling over there. They will have some resources in there. The store, when you click on it, it will have or when the page redirect you to whatever the landing page might be. There are a couple of things out there that they're going to be selling, right? And it didn't just exist in vacuum. It didn't just happen just overnight. I'm sure the features that are there, maybe tomorrow I might, open up some of these, pages and browsers when we get to different sessions and we'll talk about it critically. You look at the far right corner, you see the Gmail, you see images, and then you see the ellipsis. So the ellipsis is there, the menu thing over there. You see the ellipsis functionality, and then you come to the middle section. You see the microphone, functionality in there where you can hit on the microphone functionality, and then when you say something, hopefully it will be able to recognize whatever you're looking for and then pull some results for you, right? So there's so many, but the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that before we get in over here, there's planning, went through all those life cycle, analysis, development, testing, deployment, and then maintenance. Would have gone through all these life cycles that I just talked about, right? Now, let's talk about software development life cycle in a more proper context, right? So there are a couple of popular methodology or popular product delivery model, right? As I call it all the time. So I've been fortunate to work in organizations where, we kind of use some of these methodologies, right? So this popular model. But the 2 popular models that are out there, maybe 3 is gaining a lot of popularity these days. That's a DevOps, but it is still very young. It's still a baby when it comes to our type of development settings. But Agile development methodology, Waterfall development methodology, DevOps deployment methodology, and the rapid application development. These are like the usual suspect that you will see everywhere when it comes to software development methodologies. But for the purpose of this training, we will just dwell on the 2 that is the popular ones. You are welcome to learn DevOps, and I might hint on something as we move along. Even in Agile, I might still be talking about the CI, CD, some DevOps, and how we collaborate with the operations team and whatnot. So I might still talk about some few things that will be very beneficial to you guys. All right. So agile development methodology, waterfall development methodology, this two or this frameworks, what we're going to be dwelling on. This is where we're going to spend almost about 60% of our time, right? We're going to spend almost about 60%, maybe 55, or yeah, let's say 60% of our time, especially with agile. We're going to spend about maybe 30%. So that means we'll just spend about 10%, 40%. So we might just spend maybe 20% on maybe waterfall, because waterfall is not useful anymore. A lot of organizations that I've been with, I've consulted for, nobody wants to mention waterfall, right? Waterfall is good for different type of projects. Agile is also great for and good for different types of projects. And sometimes I will advocate, strongly. There are certain type of projects that I will advocate for what you call it, agile, product delivery methodology. And there are certain projects that I will, also advocate for what you call it, waterfall as well. For instance, when it comes to custom in-house development, we've seen, somebody had a dream, maybe a light bulb hit on somebody, and he got some idea and a product enhancement. We want to build it with the organization. We want to add it up to whatever feature we have out there. I will love that. I'll strongly advocate that we use agile, right? Use agile, and the reason why we use agile, we'll get to it when we start talking about agile in a more proper context. And when it is infrastructure, so infrastructure types of project, I will also advocate for waterfall, right? And the reason we will see momentarily very soon, because we're going to start talking about waterfall first before we talk about agile, because agile is where we will dwell, spend most of our time with the rest of the training on almost about 40% of the time, like I said, right? Or I said even, we'll spend most about 40% and maybe 20% on waterfall, because, some of the projects, who knows what sort of project you guys might work on might be, they might still be doing waterfall, they might be, trying to be agile, they are not there yet, they're learning some of the ceremonies, but they are not perfect. So they will expect that you, as you come into the team, you will contribute and you'll be a great asset, to the team as well. And you will bring some standardization when it comes to their practices, right? How they deploy and how they deliver products. So guys, take note. I'm saying this because I've got a couple of guys now, they are the champions of agile, right? From what I taught them in training, just like we're doing right now, when they went into the organizations, it was a mess in there. And so the responsibility was on their shoulders to bring standardization. And some of these sessions, maybe one of these days, this session, I might bring one of them on to just talk about 5 minutes and tell you guys how, his project is going, right? So you guys can get a feel, of what he's doing. But essentially, I'm just taking my time to say this because from this point on, whatever that we're going to be talking about is critical. There's going to be expectation on you to bring standardization to your team, to make sure that there are processes, right? You retool, you recalibrate your team and do the right stuff, right? So take note here. A lot of organizations you're going to be working for, they don't know some of this stuff that we're talking about. They have heard of it. They know about agile. They're trying to be agile, but they are not there. And so a lot is going to be on your shoulder, right? So, like I said, I will advocate for custom in-house development when it comes to agile. When it's infrastructure, I might maybe advocate for waterfall, right? Because infrastructure, you're dealing with different stakeholders across the organization, and they don't know anything about your agile ceremonies and your rituals, some of the things that you're doing at agile, and we'll get to some of these things. And so they don't know anything. So if you're asking somebody to do an estimation, attend retrospective meetings, sprint planning, kickoff, demo, all this type of things, he does not know jack, right? He doesn't know jack about anything of this thing. So why the heck do you want to bring someone like that in and then waste his time? And then you guys will just be lagging behind on your delivery deadlines, right? So guys, it's important that you take everything that we're about to say from this point on seriously, right? Talk about DevOps, talk about rapid application development when time permits. But critical methodologies that you guys have to know, keep in mind, agile, waterfall. Okay. So let's talk about software development lifecycle. So what is it? The waterfall model. What is it, right? We've been saying all these buzzwords, waterfall, 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 waterfall. So waterfall is just like the rain. Just as you're sitting behind your computer, just think about it. If when it's about to rain, just like the water starts from the top, the rain starts from the top, and then it comes all the way down from the clouds, through the clouds, and then it falls down to the ground, right? So that is waterfall. So it flows from the top. So it's a sequential model, right? That essentially flows from the top. We want to take things from the top, that is requirement. We talk to stakeholders, and then gradually we begin to descend down. It's like when you're in a plane, right? And then you're about landing. So, from 30,000 feet, you'll begin to, do some initial descent. The pilot will communicate to you guys in the plane and say, yeah, we're about doing initial descent into whatever airport. And so from 30,000 feet or whatever above, they begin to come down, and they'll begin to descend gradually, 25,000 feet, come down to 20,000, we'll get down to 15, 10,000. Then now you can even see through the clouds. You'll be able to see the roof. When you get into Ghana, it's so amazing, so lovely. You begin to see all those rusty, roofing sheets, and you know that you're about landing in a motherland, right? And then when you touch down, the door gets open, the harmattan hits you. It's like, finally, I'm home, right? It's just a fresh off. I know some of you guys might not agree with me, right? But it's always, it's refreshing when you get down, you touch down in Kutuka, right? But point here is that it's a waterfall model, right? It flows all the way from the top. So the harmattan hits you so hard, hit you on the forehead, hit you like, man, this is so hot. You're like, yes, welcome home. You're gonna love it. It's so all right. So it flows all the way from the top and it comes all the way down, right? It flows from the top, comes all down. So it's a sequential model. You can't miss it, right from the top, and then gradually it will begin to descend all the way down. We come all the way down. And then when we get to the bottom or when we get to the ground, that means we are done, right? All the activities within that series, within that sequence, we are done. So that is the waterfall model. So typically it starts requirement gathering, and we move on to design, analysis, planning, and all those things, and then development, and then testing, move on from that order. So from the top, and then we descend all the way down to the ground, right? Each stage is designed for performing the specific activity, right? So when we take a look at planning, we're going to be talking about a couple of things in there. What is planning? We take a look at the first step, requirement gathering. What are we doing in there, right? So we're going to talk about a few of these activities that happens in there. And of course, when all of these things are said and done, we come to the testing phase. So guys, we have a testing phase in there. Testing phase, what are we doing? Some testing, some quality assurance, some testing of our platform application is going to happen right there, right? So that's the testing phase in the waterfall model, right? So keep it in mind. All right, how are we doing with time? I cannot see. Me. Okay, we got 20 minutes. Oh, yeah, we're doing good. All right. All right. So let's talk about sources of requirement. Now that we want to use waterfall, right? Now that, let's say we start in waterfall, we get to agile momentarily, maybe not today, 20 minutes. I'm trying to see if I can knock out, all the things that we need to get through on waterfall. Maybe not, but let's see. All right. So sources of requirements, right? Where is this requirement going to come from? Remember, we've talked about all these techniques, day 2, day 3, we talk about all these techniques and how you elicit, all those things. But here is additional sources of your requirement, right? And keep this in mind. There's going to be a pop quiz one of these days where I just come over here and then I'll start calling names and then I just call out something. I'm giving you a hint, right? I shouldn't even have done this because I'm going to surprise you guys. We might be in a session like this, and I'll be like, okay, that's the end of it for today. And I'll start calling names, I'll start asking questions. So keep in mind, it's going to be pop quiz, right? One of these days. So sources of requirements. Number 1, knowledge transfer from colleagues or employees already working on that project, right? So usually we call this KT session, right? KT session. You set up a one-on-one meeting with one of your colleagues. You say, hey, let's get on the call, 30 minutes or something, talk to me about this process. How did you guys get here, right? And then he's going to talk through, because he's been there. He's been there for, even if he's new. Somebody's in the waiting room. I see. All right. So he's been there for years, for months, whatever that it might be. He understands the platform better than you, right? You just came on board, right? You just completed maybe your onboarding process, and so you are new. So he will sort of, be the right person, can transfer some things he has learned, whether he's been there 6 years, 7 years. Oh, some of them they've been there 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, right? When you find someone like that, God bless you, right? That person can tell you from A to Z what they've been doing, the problem they've been having, and that sort of gives you some hints on what you're going to be dealing with and what you should be getting yourself ready for, right, in the coming days. So knowledge transfer from colleagues, right? One of these days there's going to be a pop quiz once again. Knowledge transfer from colleagues, employees already working on the project. Number 2, talk about a project to business analyst, product manager, project lead, and developers. All these guys, they'll be able to share with you some information about a project as well, right? Very important. Analyze previous system version that's already implemented into the system, right? So sometimes the best way to be able to understand what we are doing is to be able to pick up the version, the previous version. There might be documentation somewhere, right? So you pick up the previous version, you begin to analyze it, you begin to look at what was committed, what got deployed, the version number, who and who were on, what was the root cause for this, what's the business requirement documentation. So the next one, as a 4th point here, is analyze the older requirement documentation of the project. So as you do this, you are being inquisitive, and you're running around digging through SharePoint, digging through maybe your Confluence, which is going to be your document repository where all documents will be at. You're digging through all these archives of documents, and boom, you land on an old requirement document, right? So you land on an old requirement document. That is great. So you start reading this requirement document, then you find out, oh, so this is the reason why we deployed the previous version. This was the features that were committed. These were use cases. These were all the functional requirements that were in there. So this is going to be a good starting point for you, right? As you analyze the older requirement document, it's a great and a useful starting point, right? And now from that point, you begin to look into the future that, okay, so this is why we are here today, why we are having this conversation, and what we're trying to build on top of this, right? So very important. And then the next one here, guys, is look into past bug reports, right? Bug report. Some of the bug reports are turned into enhancement requests, which may be implemented into current version, right? So sometimes, the reason why we are here today, the reason why we might be having some type of conversation is, or will probably might be some bug, some defect that was, found in the previous deployment, right? We found a bug somewhere, we found an issue somewhere, and we know that we need to fix this issue. But even in doing so, we realize that this can be we can even, put a little bit touch on that and even make it even an additional enhancement, a new feature for our customers, which they will love it, right? Because essentially we'll make their processes and whatever that it is, more efficient, more better. And of course, we deliver great user experience for them, right? So older requirement documentation, bug report, right? Defect report. These are all critical places to look at, right? Look into installation guide, guys. You will be surprised that sometimes when you look into some of this documentation, you'll be lucky to find, oh, okay, so this is here, this is there, this is the reason why we have this. So installation guide, if it's available, these are all great place to look at and be able to, get some few points out there. And then the last one here is to analyze the domain or industry knowledge that team is trying to implement. So the last resort here is that you will do your own research, right? Don't sit down, don't wait to be handed with fish and food. Be out there, start searching, start digging, dig around, do your own research. If they try to build something that is very new to the organization, that nobody has done before in the organization, it is your duty to look at the domain, right? The industry that they're trying to get themselves into. right? And begin to dig, right? Begin to dig into who are even our competitors that are even doing this new thing that we want to do, right? Has somebody done this before? What was some of the failures? What were some of the things that, the snags that they hit, right? We begin to look critically into all these verticals, these areas. That is how you're going to be successful. Don't always sit down. Don't wait for people. Don't wait that, you'll be told, on what to do. And then the next step, you're waiting. So you're waiting and you're folding your arms and waiting for somebody to come and tell you, you got to be out there, asking questions. You got to be out there. Asking questions is great, but you also have to be very, tread cautiously when you're asking questions, right? It's not every question that is relevant. Some questions with just 1, 2, 3 steps, you could have just grabbed your phone or be on the computer, just go on Google, you would have found the answer, right? So don't sell yourself out that you are naive or you are new, so that just do some small research, not just sit down, do some small research. You're going to find out there, right? There are tons of millions of resources that are out there. So don't sit down, analyze the domain or the industry that the team is trying to implement that feature in, right? And hopefully you're gonna be okay. So that is it for sources of requirement. Now let's look at the SDLC phase itself. Oh Lord. All right, so it looks like we have some 10 minutes. All right, we're gonna make good use of our time. Let's see what we can get done for 10 minutes or within 10 minutes. So let's look at Waterfall. Let us now look at Waterfall. So the SDLC phase that we talked about initially, about 2-3 slides, before this, with the first step here is requirement gathering, right? Requirement gathering. This is what I said, that whether you are sleeping, whatever that happened to you, somebody threw a bomb at you, you get blasted. It doesn't matter whatever situation. When somebody asks you tell me the SDLC phases, you got to be able to tell them, right? It doesn't matter your current situation. You got to be able to tell them that the first step is requirement gathering. The second step here, guys, is design. The third here is build and then development stage. And then we go to the testing or QA. QA is an acronym, stands for quality assurance, right? Quality assurance stage, right? And then the next step is going to be deployment or release. Deployment or release, right? Deployment and release. And then the last phase is going to be in maintenance phase. So a whole lot of these platforms that you see, the one that I show you guys, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, eBay, on all this platform, Amazon, these are all great platforms that are already in existence. Customers are already using it. So that means they are in maintenance phase, right? So every now and then, somebody will have a dream. So, some light bulb will hit somebody, and then some idea will, bump over their head. And then they'll say, oh, can we do this? What if we have this in there? What if we have this feature, this cool feature in there, right? So they're in maintenance phase and they're adding new features, new product feature sets in there as a way to give customers great user experience. Sometimes too, it might not be the case that the product is out there. It might be a brand new team that they are putting together to be able to build a brand new feature, a brand new product. And so you get to be part of something that you guys will build from the ground up. It is always exciting as well to be part of a team that is building something from the ground up that has never existed from Adam, right? It has never existed from Adam. Nothing has existed. No customer used that. So you guys will be the pioneers. So it is always exciting to, put your name somewhere, a badge on that product. Say, I was part of this project. I was part of this team that deployed these cool features. Today, I can look back, maybe there might be 1 or 2 products out there that I can say I was part of this, right? So it's always nice as well. So requirement gathering phase, design phase, build, development stage, testing, QA stage, deployment, release stage, and then maintenance stage. I think I'm going to end here for today, and then we will take off from here because what I'm going to start, I might not even, will not be able to complete it. Or let's see, I think we have some 9 minutes. Let's see. Okay, let's talk about requirement gathering, and then we'll end it here for today. Let's talk about requirement gathering, then we will end it here for today. So the first stage, right? The first stage is what? Requirement gathering. So at this stage, what are we doing? So you gather as much information as possible about the details, the specifications of the desired software from the client, right? This is nothing but the requirement gathering stage. It's a discovery stage. It's extracting stage, right? So all that we're doing over here at requirement gathering is that we are having meetings, right? Having meetings. You set up meetings and then you talk to one or two people, stakeholders every now and then, every week, maybe 2-3 meetings every day. I mean, it depends. It depends on the organization, right? Setting up meetings and then you guys are talking about the product feature sets, the details, the specifications that you guys want to build, right? And then they'll be sharing their operations team or the stakeholder that you guys are working with. You guys remember the SME, right? Let me say yes, yes. If you guys remember, I talk about the SME, subject matter expert. Let me say yes, yes in the chat box. You guys remember the SME, and you guys remember the solution owner, right? The solution owner as well. I talk about the solution owner. Yes, 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 yes in there. You guys remember the executive sponsor, right? So you're going to be interfacing with this couple of handful of guys, subject matter experts, different senior managers and VPs, and then what you're going to be doing, you're going to be gathering requirements. As they say, you write it down. As they say, you write it down. You're taking note at this time, right? You're taking note at this time, at this phase. So when they say it, you might have questions for them. So how do you want this to look like, right? Okay, so now you want this feature. So how is it going to work? What's the process in there? Can you, tell me? So when the customer starts from here, where does it go? And the person will keep talking, right? The person will keep talking. This is how it's going to work. We want this to flow this way. This is going to be the process flow for this piece of feature, right? The person is going to tell you all from A to Z how they want this to work. So for instance, maybe we might do this tomorrow, we might take it as an example. But when you go on to your login, your Gmail login, it went through the same kind of process that we are talking about today, right? So if you forgot your password, how do you want to reset your password? All these features, somebody was talking about this. This is how we reset it. The person will come to the, login form and then the username, password. And then there's going to be a link in there down there that says forget password. The person will click on it and then they might enter their email address and then something will be resent to them or a passcode will be sent to their phone number, depending on whatever that they have in place as an organization. They'll tell you. So stakeholders will be sharing all these processes, how we would develop this, how this feature will be done. So every step out of the way. Now, this is methodological, right? This is process oriented. You don't want to rush it. That is the point I want to say. Yeah. The point I want to say, or the emphasis I want to make here is that it is process oriented. So you don't want to rush it. Don't rush it. Don't be in a hurry, right? Every step out of the way. This is the reason why they pay you. This is the reason why you're working, right? There's no need to rush it. Work is never ending. There's no need for you to rush it and finish everything in a day. Work is never ending, right? I tell people, why are you rushing the, why are you rushing the process? Don't rush it, right? Work is never ending. Tomorrow will come back again, right? There's continuity, right? Tomorrow will come back again and we'll have to work on something. So don't rush the process. Ask basic questions. How is it going to be done? From here, where do we go? Password. What is the combination that we want for our password? It's going to be alphanumeric. Is it going to be all numbers that's required for, password, or we're going to have alphanumeric, both numbers and then alphabet and then special characters. So all of these things will happen right at this stage, right? Username. What type of username do we want, right? Is it going to be just alphabet only? Is it going to be alphabet plus numbers, special characters, and then what's going to be the mean and the max? When I say mean and the max, the maximum, character limits that we want in there. So username, it cannot be more than 15 characters. You cannot type Kofi Mensa, Ajima, Bodu, Yabua, and Kansa, Yabua, and also Bebre. You cannot do that. So there's going to be a mean, that's a minimum, and a maximum, all these fields. So requirement gathering process, guys, it's exciting, it's fun. We don't rush it. Take your time. Every detail that has to be out there, you want to be able to get this detail out there. So we don't rush it, right? So you take your time. Even the form that we are putting out there, what's going to be the color theme that we're going to use, right? The color scheme, the theme, all those things, the logo, is it going to be on the right side? Is it going to be center aligned? Is it going to be right side? It's going to be upper right corner. We need to know all these things, right? And the stakeholder will be sharing. Okay, let's place it here. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this here. So this is where the stakeholder essentially will be sharing all the bit and nickels, all the pieces, right? Everything that we need to know about this product, right? This process might take us I don't know. Sometimes in waterfall, sometimes it takes a lot of time. We can even use 90 days in this process. And I'm not kidding you guys, right? I am not kidding you guys. Sometimes it can take about 3 months. And you guys are just talking about, this feature says that, you guys want to build, right? Essentially, you guys just want to get it right and not make mistakes, right? So you start from somewhere, you build the features, so you're gathering all these things. And after that, you're going to put this requirement or this feature says in a proper format. And sometimes we call it BRD, business requirement document, right? And then once you put it into the BRD, now you email it back to the stakeholders and then wait for them to sign off on it and say, is that everything okay? What about you guys said? Have I captured all the details? If there's something that's missing, they will revert back to you and say, hey guys, no, you missed something in here on page 15, page 20. You stated something right here. I think this is what we were saying. Can you correct it? You correct it, you send it back to them. And then finally, you're gonna get a sign off on the business requirement document. And then now from that point, now we're ready to develop, right? So it's a process. Don't rush it. It's gonna take some time. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting, but it's process oriented. So every step, when we do this, what happened? When the user click on this thing over here, what's going to be the landing page? What kind of pages are we going to be redirected to? So process oriented, right? The entire user journey of the product is going to be laid bare, right, for all of us to see. So sometimes we call this phase discovery, right? It's discovery because it has never existed. We are discovering it, right? So you might hear this terminology a lot in our type of setting or our type of environment. It's called discovery, discovery. So discovery, we talk about all these possible outcome, possible features that we want to champion out there. So guys, I think we have exhausted our time. I don't know, maybe let me check the time. How are we doing with time? Do we still have some time? Yes. In the chat box, do we still have some time left? I think we might be out of time, right? So questions. Let me do. Oh, 5 minutes more. Oh, 7:59. We just have 1 minute. All right. So question, we just have 60 seconds. So be snappy with your question, and then let's do it quick. Someone is saying, is the Waterfall SDLC limited to only Waterfall or other models to may relate? Kind of confusing here. Is Waterfall the process in stages? Do we have timelines? Them? Yes. Tomorrow we might take some examples, or maybe tomorrow we might take examples of a typical product features, and then I'll put out a calendar, like a whole month, on what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be doing. So we'll begin to get into some process, some practicals about it. Pim, your question, can you reframe it? You say the SDLC is a Waterfall SDLC limited to only Waterfall? Yes, it's just for Waterfall project, right? So if you guys are using Waterfall, that's it. You go with that flow, that process. If you're using Agile, you go with that flow. Even though currently most environments, there's what we call Wagile. It's gaining popularity a little bit, but we call it Wagile because it's a combination or infusion of Waterfall and then Agile. That's what we call Wagile, or some people call it hybrid. So we have a hybrid environment as well. That means they're doing a little bit of Waterfall, they do a bit of Agile. So they're trying to come over to the Agile. Okay, all right. So good, guys. It's already past 8 o'clock. So tomorrow, day 5. Wow, this is getting exciting already. Day 5 already. All right, we're getting into it. All right, thank you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow for day 5. All right.